So the domestic servant situation is a pretty interesting one. And it's actually comparable to what we called slavery in Liberia. And realistically, for us as African people, it is also pretty damn comparable. If it's, I don't have a dollar on me, but so it's pretty comparable to the situation. And actually, that kind of ties into this conversation. Uh, Essentially, what can you do when you don't have money, when you don't have wealth? So let's say you're born on a farm, but you do not have land. What are your economic prospects then, right? Because essentially, if you're an extra mouth to feed, people are going to try to push you away, right? People are going to try to sell you. People are going to try to buy you. And so a lot of times what you have inside of different African countries is this phenomenon of African youth being converted into house girls because they are landless in their village, right? They're landless. They take up space. They take up food. They're impoverished in a sense, and they're surviving barely. And so you can now go to a village and say, "Hey, look, I can technically provide you a better life, albeit you're going to be working in my house for minimal pay, right? And of course for better sustenance." And so it is comparable to slavery, right? But at the same time, it's a better opportunity in so much as if you are in a rural economy, but you are an excess population, you don't really have too many um, financial or economical opportunities, right? And so, in many respects, and here's what it is, right? Beautiful people in the village, right? In many respects, you're breeding. They're breeding wives. They're breeding house girls. They're breeding, and not breeding them on purpose. But what I mean is that they're breeding people who become excess population, who then become cheap labor for the village and for the city, where there is more economic opportunity. And so, I mean, it's really a sad situation, but also it's like, well, what else is going to happen? Like, we just saw this dude, rough looking dude actually, was like, hey, can I get a dollar? And it's like, I don't have a dollar. Of course I have dollars. I'm like fucking carrying around hundreds of dollars, but I shouldn't say that on motherfucking live. Y'all see my background, but still, it's like, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, what do you do now? So in America, it would be immoral to provide for them. But that's actually, it comes back to the whole culture, politics, economics dichotomy, dynamic, because essentially the house girl situation is justified culturally, right? But it's part of the political failure, honestly. But realistically, the economical failure of a people to advance beyond ruralism, whereas the city still has the better economic opportunity. Hope that helps.